Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk about a few things that I think every beginner in oil pastels really should know about. When I wanted to start painting with oil pastels at first, there was a lot of things that I didn't know about them, so I just tried everything out. But here I'm going to tell you about all the things that I've learned, and also I'll tell you about the routine of my oil pastel paintings, such as choosing references, sketches, color choices, and of course, painting techniques and blending tips. Many people get confused about the difference between oil and soft pastels. Well, they might seem like they're both pastels and they're the same, but actually they're quite different and you won't have the same result with them. Soft pastels are more like chalks, and when you apply them to the paper, they kind of look like powder, and you can just easily blend them with your finger or like a tissue or anything at all. They are not as pigmented as oil pastels, but oil pastels, as you know, are oil based. You can blend most of the times with your finger, but you need more pressure than the soft pastels. You can also blend them with natural colors, white, or any other colors at all. Some oil pastels are harder or softer depending on their brands. Like the ones I'm using here are Pentel and Mongyo, which are pretty different actually. Pentel is harder comparing to other oil pastels. It is quite nice for the first layers and sketching or smaller areas. Also, it has really good colors, especially the cream colors are perfect for some portraits. On the other hand, Mungyo or creamier oil pastels like Sennelier are better for layering colors on top of each other. They are much more opaque than others and also way better for bigger areas. One thing that I really love about oil pastels is that they're really flexible. They're amazing for creating new things. Like an example, there's a big variety of different surfaces that you can use oil pastels on. You can use them on different papers, wood, glass, canvas, or even cardboard. I have also used oil pastels on my watercolor paintings and acrylics or gouache, but one thing that I recently figured is that you can use linseed oil and a brush to paint on top of your oil pastels. Isn't this perfect? With this method, you'll be able to have a painting with the same effects of an oil pastel and kind of an oil color paintings. But there's one thing you need to remember if you want to use this method. I used linseed oil on both of my oil pastels that I have. One is Pentel and the other one is Mungyo. But it only worked on Mungyo. So I think it works on creamy oil pastels like Sennelier or any other creamy oil pastels. This is exactly the best thing in oil pastels for me, that I can be creative and different and get myself out of that repetitive cycle of doing the same things over and over again. A lot of you asked about how I choose my references and my sketching process for my paintings. Usually, choosing a reference takes a lot of my time because there are factors that I try to have in mind when I'm looking for a reference. I think the reference for oil pastel portraits needs visible shadows and lights. The more shadows you have, the better and easier you'll paint. Try your best to avoid any picture that is not completely obvious or is edited way too much. Also, there's something that I find really, really important, and that is having at least two or three interesting colors in your reference. This will make your painting way more interesting and beautiful. Because of the nature of oil pastels, they're great with bright colors, so try to at least have some interesting colors, or you can even replace bright colors with dull or soulless colors in your reference. For sketching, I usually do the initial sketch with color pencils, usually purple or red, and I do not put a lot of pressure while sketching because it will show under oil pastels if the pencil leaves a deep mark on the paper. So don't put a lot of pressure at all. And also, if you want a detailed painting, it's better to just have an almost detailed sketch. But don't go too much, like you don't need a pattern of clothes or fur, but you'll need an overall shape of the clothes and where the pattern belongs to. The theme and color choices that you have are very important, especially if you want to replace any colors or have a different color palette than the reference. It's better to think before applying colors because it's not really that easy to change colors with oil pastels. So you kind of have to think before you put colors down the paper. But there is a little way if you made a mistake and you wanted to change the color of an area. You can scratch the colors off the paper with a palette knife and clean that area with a q-tip. But make sure you're not putting any pressure because the paper would be glossy and it won't be able to hold colors anymore. Anyways, after cleaning the area, you can apply your other colors very gently, but don't push the pastels too hard because the paper is not the same as it was before. So you have to be gentle and build layers slowly. I always try to paint in small sections with oil pastels. Like if I want to paint the clothes, I choose a small section and fill it and then go for the other parts. I try to avoid painting big parts at once because it's way easier to control your oil pastels while you're working on small parts. I figured it's easier for me to blend oil pastels with each other than blending them with my fingers or using white or any other tools. I try to blend each color with a close color or a neutral color in some parts. It's different with every pastel because usually when I use pentel oil pastels, I blend colors with white most of the time. On the other hand, if I use Mongyo, I hardly use white. It's mostly just close colors. I tried to talk about anything that I thought might be helpful, but if you want more explanation on any parts in this video, then feel free to comment for me so that I can talk about in my next videos. Also, I have other videos about oil pastels, tips and techniques, so you can check them out too. Thank you so much for being with me until here. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, and remember that your best artwork is yet to come.